Hi, I'm John Maxwell. When the top companies in the world are looking for trainers, speakers, and coaches, there's one name that stands above the rest, and that's Maxwell Leadership. Our certified team members have gotten proven results for companies all over the globe, and our reputation, I'm proud to say, is second to none. Some of our members have risen to the top of their profession, including the one you're going to meet today. I proudly introduce you to my friend Bob Fabian Zinka.
Welcome to the Leadership and Success Podcast with your host, Coach BZ, where we help you lead with purpose and succeed with impact. If you're ready to grow into the kind of leader others want to follow, this podcast is for you. If you're determined to elevate your success and leave a lasting legacy, this podcast is for you. As my mentor, Dr. John C. Maxwell reminds us, everything rises and falls on leadership. Our goal is simple: to inspire you, challenge you, and equip you with insights that can transform the trajectory of your leadership journey. Welcome aboard to another episode of the Leadership and Success Podcast with Coach BZ.
It was a Tuesday morning. I was a student at the University of Toronto and getting ready for class, saw the news out of the corner of my eye, and it was the Twin Towers crumbling.
The industry has changed incredibly. When I first joined IT, all men, I was always the only woman in the room. Now, today, when I go to conferences and things of that nature, I see more women.
It was my experience at the United States Military Academy at West Point that introduced me into national security and protection of the country at large.
I chose security and it chose me back, and we've been choosing each other ever since.
In my career, I have dealt with sexual harassment. I have dealt greatly with discrimination. I have dealt with violence. I have been assaulted. That is not because I'm a woman in the security profession, but just because I'm a woman, period.
It was very important for me at the time to be successful and to be included and to be credible in the industry. So I worked probably harder than most people. I didn't want to focus on the fact I was a minority, which I was.
But I see the challenge as an opportunity just to continue to shatter glass ceilings and inspire those coming in behind me.
Key takeaways. I found my voice at the age of 16, and that was what built my purpose. First thing is, think about what your purpose is and start building your purpose. It will take a journey, but again, as you'll see why it's important. The second thing is, don't change who you are. Be authentic, be yourself. Third one is network. Network as much as you can. Build those connections, because you never know, even someone on the bus, you never know what that connection is going to be as part of your journey. Build champions. Find mentors, yes, but build champions. Those are the people who are talking about you when you're not in the room. And the last one is build your personal brand, but tie it back to the first thing, which is around what your purpose is. These 5 tips, my hope is that you take 1 or 2 out of these and start working with it. With that, I want to say thank you. Arigato gozaimasu. Merci beaucoup. Asante sana. Thank you.
All right, welcome to the 3rd episode of the Leadership and Success Podcast today. All right, this is the 3rd time around, so as you know, we like to start with our moment of gratitude. So you already know today, I am grateful to really be standing on the shoulder of giants. all of the trailblazers, people who have gone ahead of us and who have made it possible for somebody like me to become a commander in the United States Navy, the most powerful Navy in the world, but also a cybersecurity executive here in Silicon Valley. So I am so grateful. I stand on the shoulder of giants. So let us know in the comment where you are joining us from. So we've become an international global podcast. So let us know which city and state, if within the US, and which country, if you are outside of the United States of America. Let us also know what you are grateful for. And if you have a question for our guest today, go ahead and type the question in the comment and we will try to answer your question live. Okay, let me see if I can properly introduce our guest. I am really honored and privileged today to be speaking to the one and only Aarti Gadhia. She's a cybersecurity leader with over 25 years of global experience spanning organizations like Microsoft, VMware Carbon Black, Bugcrowd, Trend Micro, and Sophos. She's the founder of Standout to Lead, and SHE. S for sharing, H for her, and E for empowerment. Share her empowerment. These are initiatives focused on empowering women and underrepresented group to step into leadership and boardroom roles. She's recognized as one of the top 20 women in cybersecurity and top 20 cybersecurity women of the world. This was just last year. Board director, advisor, speaker, mentor, author of Rise of the Cyber Women, I should say co-author, a powerful advocate for authentic leadership, inclusion, and opportunity creation. She's also been featured in the trailer I just showed you just a minute ago, and everybody needs to support this documentary and watch it, The Women in Cybersecurity documentary. I mean, I wonder if she even has time to sleep sometimes. It's like she's so busy doing everything, but she's really adding a lot of value into our industry, and it's just a great honor for me to be speaking to her today. Right, her mission is simple and very powerful: break barrier and build leaders and create access. So without any ado, please help me welcome to the Leadership and Success Podcast, the one and only Aarti Gadhia. All right, good afternoon. How are you doing today, Aarti?
I am good.
All right, what a great honor to have you on the podcast today. Man.
Likewise, really grateful for you to give me this platform to join you and share my voice and story. So thank you.
Absolutely. Is there something else you are grateful for today? And it's Women History Month too, by the way, which is pretty cool.
Yes. Well, we're definitely grateful for everyone who has supported me in my journey.
Yes.
Specifically today, I know there's some viewers who are watching, so grateful that you're taking the time to listen. So thank you.
Wow. Is there something about you that most people may not know when they first meet you?
I guess it would be my background. When people meet me, a lot of people don't know my background, my upbringing, moved different countries. So there's a lot of things that people don't know that I'm happy to share today. Definitely looking forward to
Yeah.
it.
What they may not know is you were born in Kenya, so that's East Africa, and I was born in the Congo, Central Africa. So you are my African American Canadian sister from another mother, and then we both speak about 5-6 languages or so, which is pretty impressive since American and Canadian hardly speak one language. But really glad and so proud to be speaking to you. So let me ask you: your journey really began in Kenya and moved through the UK and flourished in Canada. The 51st state of the US? I hope not. Okay, how did those early experiences shape the leader you are today?
Oh my gosh. Yes, that's a great question. Firstly, Jambo, Namaste, Bonjour,
Bonjour.
Konnichiwa, and greetings. That's all the languages.
Which you do speak Swahili also, which is an African language that is quite popular in East Africa, Central Africa too. But welcome.
Exactly. Yes, thank you. I haven't been to Congo, but definitely the next time I visit back home, I want to see a
Yes.
lot more countries there. So Congo's on the list.
Yes.
Absolutely. So back to your question. Definitely, I like to start with my roots, which is my upbringing and the values that I got from my parents. So full credit to why I'm sitting here today is because of my mom and dad. So mom and dad, if you're listening, I am here. I'm grateful for what you've done. And it's the values that my parents instill from me. And those early experiences have helped shape me for who I am, for what I believe in, and the values. So they gave me that foundation, that strong, solid foundation that my parents gave me. And one of the things I always learned from this whole journey and what they've taught me is be who you are and don't change your values. And that's something I've always carried with me from my parents, because it's
Yes.
something that always I remind myself every single day.
That is so powerful. Be who you are. Wow.
Yeah.
I guess you didn't really have to deal much with peer pressure being a teenager, huh? But that is really great advice. Now, what most people may not know, you shared with me, you're actually an introvert. But looking at your success and everything you do, it's like you're always out there. But at 16 years old, you spoke in front of 500 people. Wow. About the lack of women in leadership. I'm sure that took a lot of courage. What gave you that courage, you think? And what did that moment teach you about leadership?
Yes. What was really interesting is that my mom threw me into that opportunity and I hated it every moment. I'm like, Mom, why did you do this to me? And it was a good thing, actually. I mean, you only see the good thing afterwards.
Yes.
But she said, I've put your name in to go and speak to the local community. And I'm like, great. I've never done a talk before. Like you called out, I'm an introvert here. And it was not something I was comfortable doing. So what actually gave me that courage actually was it got me thinking, like my aunt, who's no longer here, but she was a significant inspiration to me. So
Yeah.
after she lost her husband at a very young age with 2 children, she was financially dependent as she was a homemaker. And back home, a lot of the women didn't work because they were homemakers and they looked after the household.
Yes.
And in her case, once she lost her husband and she was fully dependent, I witnessed what happened to her and how she had to build herself up. And it wasn't easy, especially since you don't have that foundation. And that's what actually, when I saw like my parents supported her and, she went to college and she picked herself up, I saw that transformation. She learned English. She started her own,
Yes.
she built a very successful career.
Wow.
That experience actually, that gave me that courage that showed me the power of that independent woman, no matter what situation or circumstance you're in, she picked herself and she achieved a lot. And, it's too bad she's not here, but, she was definitely a big inspiration when I saw her journey. And
Wow.
that's what really sparked that initial thought is it got me thinking when I was preparing, of course, as much as I
Yes.
hated going out and speaking on that stage, it got me thinking. And I was like, well, I've got to figure out what I need to do and what I need to say. And one thing that really bothered me for a long time is I saw the committee. They were all senior leaders and they were all male. And that bothered me a lot, right?
Yes.
And I was like, why don't we have, that curiosity? Why don't we have women on that committee? Because look at the powerful women in our community and what they can bring
Yes.
into this community board. And so when I went on stage, I actually said, I'd like to see more women on to the committee. And I paused and I literally looked around the room and I'm like, I don't know how people are going to take this.
Yes.
At 16, you're like, you're not sure.
Wow.
But it was really good because, as I walked down and people clapped and I was like, yeah, okay, I'm 16. Maybe they just thought that was nice, whatever. But the best thing was that same year, the committee appointed 2 women on the board.
Wow.
So that was phenomenal. And this is kind of, to the viewers, is my
Yes.
advice is find opportunities where you can use your voice. And you can make that positive change. It can be anywhere. It doesn't have to be on stage, like in my situation. It could
Yes.
be, at school with your kids, or amongst your friends, amongst your coworkers. Find that opportunity where you can use that voice.
That's really powerful. And being an introvert doesn't mean you can speak in public, but usually it takes you a lot more energy than those who are extroverts. So how do you usually kind of recharge and refill your tank? What kind of activities do you do?
Yeah, what kind of activities I do is I do yoga. And so that's really good. So whenever I'm not traveling, I'll
Mhm.
go oxygen yoga. It's my 4:45 class. I go
Cool.
every time. The other thing as well is I've got a dog, so
Mhm.
he fuels my energy.
Nice.
As introverts, we like our quiet one-on-one space,
Hmm.
right? And that's how we get our energy. And that's, some of the ways I get that energy. But more importantly than that is what keeps me going is having that clear purpose. And that's why I do this. It's getting out of my comfort zone
Yes.
because I have a clear purpose and I'm excited about the impact it creates.
Wow. So because of your why, you get in uncomfortable position because you know the impact you might have on just one being. That is powerful. Wow. Okay. So what was there maybe like a defining moment when you realized that your purpose was to advocate for underrepresented voices?
Yeah. I only fully realized I was actually advocating for underrepresented voices, like specifically immigrants and women,
Hmm.
while I was searching to build my brand. I didn't know I was already doing this, right? It's like you don't realize this until I got to that point when I'd had a situation and a CEO had told me you need to work
Mm,
towards building your personal brand because I was trying to figure out what am I not doing? Why am I not getting that promotion?
yes.
And so this process was actually a journey because through it, I was able to define my purpose. And that's
Mm,
once I started learning how to build my brand, it's back to what you mentioned, the why,
yes.
right? And that why was what was I needed to know that. And the way I got to know that was when I was building this personal brand. And this is back to the advice I would give to the viewers is
Mm,
build your personal brand and make sure you align it to your purpose. And the
yes.
best way to do this is just ask a few examples. What do you value the most and why? What do you
Mhm.
want your network to know you for and why?
Well, since you are coming to us from Canada, let me ask you this. If there is a young immigrant woman listening right now in North America,
Yeah.
what would you ask them to do, let's say, tomorrow? You have about 60 seconds. What is the first thing they should do?
They should network. If
Mm,
someone's new, expand, network, get to know
yes,
more people because that's what I learned the hard way. I didn't
yes.
network in the beginning. So new
Wow.
immigrants, go network, go volunteer.
Powerful, powerful. All right, let's talk about your career mastery, really excellence in execution. You have consistently been a top performer across companies like Sophos, changemaker, VMware. By the way, I worked for a VMware sister company back then. We were on the EMC pivotal,
Yeah.
but Carbon Black, Bugcrowd, and Microsoft. So, what separates high performers from average performers? You think?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I currently I joined this new company here called Centra.
Mhm.
And, back to your point is you're new and you still need to show your value. You're not yet a top performer because you're new,
Yes.
right? And so here's the biggest thing I like to share is that building trust and ensuring transparency,
Hmm.
that's really key of what has made me consistently that top performer is just I'm like with all customers I speak to, I make it a point. I tell customers, I was just on a call earlier today and I said, we figured out this is not her role and
Hmm.
we are speaking to her about how we can solve a solution, but it's not under her area. So
Yeah.
we cut it off and we just said, you know what, actually, we don't want to waste your time. And let's figure out what is it that matters to you and just
Mm,
really being upfront because what I feel is that, that relationship that I had with this individual earlier on today,
yes.
for example, is she'll remember because I
Mhm.
didn't do this whole boring all call and try
Yeah.
to sell her my pitch. It wasn't relevant to her. And she'll remember that. So next time, if I
Mm,
change, a
yes.
role or if we have an extended offering that would
Mhm.
be of value to her, now that I know what she does and she knows what I do a little bit, and
Yes.
I ended it early, giving her back time, which she appreciated
Wow.
just letting her know and she'll remember me, I'll remember her, and we'll remember that conversation. And a lot of
Mm,
times I like to say is that even if you think about shopping or your own personal experience. You always have your favorite mortgage broker, or you have
Yes.
your favorite store that you go to. And a lot of the loyalty stems from trust.
Mm,
It's that positive experience and the confidence you've built over time
yeah.
that I know sometimes I'll go to the same store, even though I know sometimes they charge more than driving further else, just because of
Yes.
the experience and the trust they've built with me.
Wow, that is really, really powerful. Now, you've also led across global markets, US, Canada, APAC, and on and on. How do you adapt your leadership style across different cultures?
Yeah, and I love this cultural one because, you and I have moved around,
Yes.
right? From Africa and then come to the Western world.
Mhm.
And the answer is so simple. It's just cultivating that learning mindset. And
Mm.
as we've moved, that's one of the things we brought with us. When moving from Kenya, as we were chatting before, did you enjoy the move initially,
Yeah.
right? And there was a lot to learn when you're moving
Mhm.
from Kenya or from Africa into the
Yes.
third world country, right?
Totally
And
agree.
just in general, I would say it's just creating and cultivating that mindset. And I share this example, like before the pandemic. This was the second time I was trying to go to Japan. First was when I was in university and I couldn't go to do that exchange program
Mhm.
in Japan because of my passport. And so the second time I tried to go to Japan, and it didn't work out because then the pandemic hit, unfortunately.
Mm.
But it's on my wish list to go to Japan. But one of the things is, as I was preparing, this is before the pandemic hit, I was preparing for that trip. And, it's just learning about the different cultures. And one of the advice that this champion had shared to me as we were organizing this event in Japan with him. And I usually like at the end of my talk, raise your hand if you got any questions. And,
Mhm.
I was role playing this. This is what I'm going to do because I want to learn what's going to resonate with the group there. And, the first thing he said is don't end with that. Don't ask about questions because the culture there,
Mm.
change it to, if you have any questions, come here in the front and ask me those questions. So it's, like different
Yes.
areas, different regions. And it was really good because you're still going to get what you want to get
Mhm.
out of it, but it takes a different form, right?
Yes.
Versus, if I were to do it here in the US, for example, then I would say, who has questions and raise your hand, right?
Yes. Wow. Because looking over your career, another reason why I'm so proud and really privileged to talk to you right now, you've broken a lot of barrier throughout your career. For example, you did encounter a biased hiring system early in your career, but unlike most people, you actually chose to challenge it. So, what did that experience teach you about influence and really change inside an organization?
Yeah. And just to highlight a little bit about what the
Yes.
bias I encountered, is this was earlier on in my career and new in Canada. I was a first year in the job, and I'd applied for a senior role. That was my next step, is to move into that role in sales. And I had to take this terrible personality test, and I knew that, going back, I'm an introvert. And my manager at that time hinted to me, hey, by the way, in this personality test, the people that are successful in the next stage have to be in that top quadrant.
Mm.
And that fits the extrovert. I was in the bottom quadrant. And so I had two choices. Do I fill this? And my manager had hinted this to me. Do I fill this based on,
Mm.
that one? So at least I push on to that next stage and then have a conversation. At least they'll get to see who I am. Or do I
Yeah.
answer it truthfully? And so sometimes, like in that scenario, I answered it truthfully. I didn't get the role.
Mm.
And I was afraid. I didn't know how to speak up because I was still earlier on in my career,
Yeah.
right? I didn't know how to speak up. I didn't know what to do at that moment because I felt that was wrong, right? In the recruitment system. But I thought I had to
Yeah.
figure out, how do I make a difference that's going to change this eventually, because I've got to figure out how to get rid of that personality test.
Yes.
I wasn't ready to speak up, and that's okay, right? And so for me, as an introvert, my goal was, I took that approach was, I need to prove to the director that even introverts are actually top sellers. It's not about who has the
Mhm.
gift of the gab, right? It's
Yes.
what I had said, right? Is I was determined to figure out how do I remove that barrier.
Mm.
And if I remove that barrier, there's many people, not just myself, but other individuals who are like me, who are and will be successful, but they're just not getting that opportunity. And
Yes.
so what I did was I led by example. I joined another team. Another manager gave me this opportunity. I became the number one representative, and that
Wow.
changed. And that's what I learned along the way was how to show your value within the organization. And by doing that, I was able to influence change because
Mm.
at that moment I was able to find that inner voice. And in fact, I didn't even have to say anything because I led by example. Is
Yes.
the director actually felt, well, there's a flaw in my system, my recruitment
Yes.
process. And
Yes.
he removed that personality test and he
Wow.
opened doors to so many other people like
That's
me,
amazing.
yeah, who have a different approach to
Hmm.
selling because I felt diversity is important. You don't always have to be in that
Yes.
top quadrant. Every individual has their unique strengths and they can contribute and everyone
Hmm.
can be successful.
That is so insightful. Let me ask you, because in your career and your life, this theme keeps recurring over and over and over again. First of all, just to be frank, this world was meant really for white male. No, that's how it was created. Who it was created for. So you are a woman. Maybe you had an accent, and you are a person of color. Most people in your position would be like, "Let me just shut up, and I have nothing to say." Let me just zip it and suffer through the consequences. But people would label you as a troublemaker. It's like you just want to change things, and you have that idea that things can be better, and you help make them better. What do you think is really driving you? That courage, that grit, that confidence, that I don't know. What should I call it? There is something in you that just would not give up until things are right. Why? Where do you think that comes from?
The confidence, confidence actually comes from the purpose, right?
Mm,
Bringing it all back to my why. And
yes.
when you are very clear and you know what your network know, you want your network to know you. You want people to know you for what your why is. And just by, back to that example, when that personality test was removed, I still
Mhm.
didn't know that was my why, but it just felt so good.
Yes.
It just felt so
Wow.
good because it's like I was able to remove that barrier, and even
Mm,
though I didn't do it, which, now I have found that confidence over time as I've built my brand. That's the
mhm.
second piece I would like to highlight is, when I started learning how to build my brand, I started learning how to do that, and that helped me find my inner voice.
Yes.
That right now, it's like when I see something's wrong, I will speak up and I'll find a way to speak up in the right way. You don't
Mm,
want to, do it in the wrong way because the message will not land. So you have to be
yes.
strategic in how to make sure that you want to create that change in that individual when you've seen
Mhm.
something wrong. And you don't want to put them in a position where they're going to build that wall and not like
Yes.
what you say. You want them to take that and absorb that feedback. It's just like giving
Mm,
feedback in a review. You want that person to
yes.
take that feedback well.
Yes.
And by doing that, it's, just through that process of, making sure it's messaged correctly
Mm,
to them. And, at the end of the day, what I look at it is, what are they gonna do? Like if
yes.
it's in the workplace, they're gonna fire me, that's okay.
Yes.
There's
Yes.
so many other jobs out there, right? Uh,
Wow, that is quite a different mindset because today, still on average, right, women only make what 80 cents on the dollar compared to men with the same
yeah,
experience. There's still kind of that glass ceiling, and women in cybersecurity right now they still represent only about what 25%
25%.
of the workforce. So, what are some of the biggest barrier today, and what are leaders getting wrong? You think?
Yeah. It's still the basics and the unconscious bias. And this is what I see a lot is leaders tend to hire individuals who resemble themselves in their
Hmm.
background and thought. Look, I'm the first person to put my hand up. We all have a bias. Each one of us has a
Yes.
bias, right? But the difference is actually recognizing your own bias
Mm,
And so what I've seen is there's still a huge bias, a non-conscious bias, if you want to call it that way,
Yes.
is, you're going to favor candidates with who you have a personal relationship with, someone who you have a social rapport outside of work, right? And
Yes.
unfortunately, that's where the biggest problem is. And we've got to get leaders to break out of that. Go hire somebody who doesn't look like you. That's step number one,
Mm.
right? And I've seen the other issue is also that I've seen in this industry, as much as what I'm seeing is I've witnessed many women also are failing to champion other women. And I don't know why this still happens today. So we're so few women. We need to lift each other up, right? And so we've got to continue building this. There's only 25% off us. Let's
Mm.
continue this, having that one voice.
Yes.
So back to your question on what are some suggestions that we can do is definitely first and foremost is, back to what I said, is leaders need to move away from seeking candidates who are already similar to them, right? Or let me give you an example. I was
Mm.
doing research yesterday and I was just looking at job descriptions for CISOs, right?
Yes.
In roles for CISOs. And a few of them already said, we're seeking an experienced chief information security officer to join our team. So that means you're already looking for today CISOs in that leadership level. There's even less women, female.
Mm.
So what is your pool candidate going to go into? You're going to get more male who are going to
Yes.
apply for those jobs because they already have that title and that role. And this is where the problem is fixing that broken
Mm.
rung. And this is what we need to do is change it. Why not change it? Instead,
Yes.
rephrase it to we're seeking someone or candidates who are interested in a CISO role. Now,
Mhm.
change that. Why does it always have to be somebody who's already in that role? What if
Yes.
somebody doesn't have that title, but are already,
Doing the work. Yeah.
yeah, their leadership style and skills, and they're
Mhm.
already ready for a CISO role. It's just that they haven't been
Yes.
given that opportunity.
Yes, and I believe it was Madeleine Albright, right, the first woman Secretary of State under Bill Clinton, who once said that there's a special place in hell for women who don't help other women. But
Mhm.
you are correct, though. We really need to help each other and lift each other up. That's really the only way to go. So for leaders who are listening right now, what are maybe 3 practical things they can do today to build more inclusive team?
Yeah, I'm curious what the chat is saying. Definitely. I'm looking forward to hearing that.
Yeah. So, what do you recommend leaders do to really build inclusive teams on in their organization?
Yeah. The other one I would put is be a champion. I
Hmm.
would definitely put that. Be a champion.
That-
This is, leaders are in a position of privilege, right? I know when I am in a position of privilege, we all have the responsibility to advocate and share positive feedback about individuals and think about, high performing women, share that. I don't see this happen often, right?
Mhm.
I rarely see, when I'm in meetings, and I start leading by example because I'm in a position of privilege, having worked throughout the years, is I make sure that if there's a woman on my team or someone, who an underrepresented group for that matter, and if they've done a great job or a great exercise or things like that, I would definitely raise that and bring that up because
Mm.
that's what being a champion, being a sponsor is you're talking about them when they're not in the room. You're helping.
Yes.
I know I've got several sponsors in my journey that I worked through along the way, and I didn't realize they were sponsors until later on. Somebody said, "Hey,
Wow.
this they were talking about you," and I was like, "Oh, wow, that's really nice," and that's helped
Yes.
me in my career progression.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess you really live that out throughout your career because I even mentioned in the intro, right? You are really building a movement, from idea to impact. You founded She, right? Sharing her empowerment and stand out to lead. What inspired you to move from just your own personal success to now building a platform for other women?
Yeah. What really started me off was it actually initially started off with me personally. I wanted to figure out how to create more visibility because, initially the CEO had said, go build your, one thing that you need to work on or try to think about is building your personal brand. So I was like, okay, building your personal brand means I need more visibility. How do I go get more visibility? And so it stemmed with me, right? Solving a problem for myself. And then as I was going through that process, I learned many women were in the same boat, raising their hand, but didn't get the opportunities because I always raise my hand. And that's when I decided I needed to start this off. It was actually at a conference where I'd asked for an opportunity. I got several no's. Sorry, we already got our speakers. And they were great. And then it was just like, okay, you know what? I'm going to create my own opportunity. Right? I knew there was nothing happening at lunch. And so I reached out to HR and I said to HR, hey, can I get this lunch space? And this is what I want to do. I
Wow.
want to call it as a women who inspire and talk about certain critical things. And HR loved it. So I went to the right team
Yes.
to help me and advocate for this. And it was so interesting because in that scenario, while it started off grassroots style where they were giving us a room with 30 to 40 people, it was crazy because 100 women already signed up in under 10 minutes.
Wow.
And so I said, here you go, what do you want me to do? And so the impact was amazing, and that's where it got me thinking, well, we've got to create this platform because we got a bigger room first and foremost in that scenario.
Yes.
Lunch was brought in, right? I wasn't expecting that. And so from that, I realized, well, there's a lot more I can do. And by creating a platform like She or sharing her empowerment, it's not just about me going through that challenge. I've seen how so many voices, that power of a collective voice, and even though we were only 20% in that organization, that power of how we were able to change.
Wow.
And that is where I was like, I've got to create this platform, and I've got to create this. It was an employee resource group. This is even before ERGs existed. And so that's where I sat and I was like, let me start this up. And that's how I started the first ERG or employee resource group within that organization. And it was just amazing. Just when you're seeing how collectively, number one, you're not the only one who's going through this. If you talk about it, you'll know so many others. And why solve it just for yourself? You can solve it for everybody else.
Yes. Always thinking in system, because you've also helped dozens of women begin their board journey. Why is board representation so critical, you think? And how can more professionals position themselves for board positions?
Yeah. Having diversity improves decision making for sure, right? And this is what I'm all about. Is it stemmed actually from about, I would say, almost 8 years ago. I actually felt like I wanted to get on a board, and it's because it was at a conference. We were just the four of us women back 8 years ago. We were all talking about what is that next step, and it was like, hey, we all want to get onto boards. And the big thing that's really important for many boards as they're looking to build a board is representation matters, right? Women bring a different perspective. I've seen it in the boards I've served. I've called things out that oftentimes the rest of the board members haven't thought about, right? Because who are their customers? Their customers are not just men, right? Their customers are women. Their customers are children. Their customers are elderly people. Their customers are, it's a whole wide range. So when building your board, don't just look at, and this is what was interesting that sparked this interest for me to start up Standout to Lead, which is to have that training for many women in cybersecurity to start their board journey. I was actually told at that time 8 years ago, well, you don't have enough experience. And I was like, what do you mean I don't have enough experience? And I didn't have the CEO or whatever, the C-suite title. And I don't have to have gray hair to be on the board, right? And so it bothered me. right? And so I was like, okay, you know what? I've got to do something about this. I've got to fix this.
Yes.
I'm going to fix this mentality because
Wow.
I can be on the board, and you don't have to wait till you retire to get on the board,
Hmm.
right?
That is really, really powerful. I really love the way you think. I think it was Charlie Chisholm, right, who said, if they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair. Right,
Yes.
you just will not take no for an answer. I really love love that. But it's really a theme that goes on throughout your career over and over and over again. So when are people going to learn to just let you have what you want and sit down with
Exactly.
it? This is just amazing.
I'll
Wow.
keep bringing my seat wherever I go because I'm so used to
Yeah.
notes and I know exactly what to do.
Yeah, since we are living in the age of AI now, and you are a cybersecurity expert, let's talk about the future of cyber in this AI-centric world. So AI is pretty much transforming every industry, including cybersecurity these days. What excites you most, and what concern you most have about this shift?
Yes. The excitement, of course, is the efficiency it introduces into my daily life. Things that I don't enjoy doing, things that used
Yeah.
to take me so long. I was actually a very early adopter to AI, using it, leveraging it, and I was super excited. And that's what I'm super excited. What concerns me about the shift, of course, there's obviously cyber, like the unethical hackers are using
Mhm.
it, and we all have to be really careful. We all know the risks of AI, right? We know what's happening, but for me, I'll bring it from a different lens, and so through my own personal research, actually, just within my own friends, my own colleagues, my family, actually, when I used it on my family, I was doing some research and I saw that the women within my own family, we were embracing and utilizing AI faster
Mm.
than, my husband, my brother-in-law, and,
Yes.
all the others, right? And I was like, oh, this is interesting, right? There's me, my sister-in-law, we're busy chatting about this, right? And this is actually something really interesting because the positive to it, it's leading to a significant skill development among women,
Mhm.
right? And of course, my hope is that ultimately it will generate more career opportunities for women in the tech industry. However, where I'm concerned is that will we still be in that age whereby leadership will fail to recognize this trend of
Mm.
women are adopting this faster than men, because there's also third party research, not just from my own family and
Yes.
friends, that I notice.
Mhm.
But will they fail to recognize this trend and continue to rely on that outdated traditional hiring practices? And
Yes.
that would be my concern, because I'm hoping it opens up the talent pool,
Mm.
and that opens up diversity. That's what I'm really excited that I'm hoping it will do. But I'm concerned that, the
Yes.
old traditional practices will still continue and still create those barriers for women.
Now, you've also spoken about a shift, right, from credential to skills. How should leaders and professionals kind of prepare for the future workforce in cybersecurity?
Yeah, I mean, I like to bring this up because even like for all of us, many of us, we've actually come from a different background. I mean, maybe let me
Mhm.
ask you, what did you study?
Actually, my initially it was I was pre-med, so I did biology and chemistry, and then I almost earned a PhD in microbiology before getting into technology.
Yeah, right. And
Yeah.
so many viewers today, I'm sure they'll all share that I did financial
Yes.
economics, right? And it's interesting. I always bring this up is how like that shift from credentials to skills is
Mm.
it's so easy to learn the technical processes. It's easy to learn the theory, the procedures, and things. Those are things you can teach as a leader.
Mhm.
That's easy. Shouldn't be a problem. It's easy to teach somebody how to use this tool and things like that.
Yes.
What's really hard to teach is those soft skills. It's harder because they actually develop over time. And things you learned where you were in the biomedical space
Yes.
is things that the skills that you learned in there, that you can apply it into this industry to be able to solve the problem, because you're coming at it from a different lens, right? And
Mm.
so this is where I like leaders to, you know prepare for, is that really focus on that. skill set, right? Don't just look at credentials. I mean, it's good
Yes.
to have those credentials. It's important. I'm not saying don't do that. What I'm saying is that the skill set is definitely what they should be looking at.
That is quite insightful. So, in your view, what does the cyber leader of 2030 look like?
Oh my gosh, that's a tough one.
Well,
I'm barely thinking.
2030 is only 4 years from now. Now, 6 years ago, it sounded like it was far, far, far away in the future, but that's really right
It's
around the corner.
I'm barely believing that I'm in 2026.
Exactly.
That's a really good question, actually. I really like that one because, I think what a cyber leader looks like in 2030, it shouldn't change dramatically from today. But what I would say is maybe, now with AI, the transformation of AI, maybe cyber leaders will become more business enablers or business collaborators, right?
Hmm.
Because what I've seen, and I just ran a CISA roundtable in Calgary just in December, and one of the things they were all saying is that, with AI transformation, still so many teams are operating in silos, and this is
Yes.
not good practice. And so maybe this is where I see the cyber leader of 2030 is that person who's that business collaborator.
Hmm.
And that's kind of what's going to break these silos so we can work together, because AI is involving everyone in the business. It's not just
Yes.
one part of the business, right?
Hmm.
And so I'm hoping that I'm guessing this 2030 there's not going to be those silos. Maybe they still will be, who knows, but I'm
Yes.
hoping with AI that silos break,
Hmm.
and we start collaborating more, and again bringing the strength of women. Women are great collaborators.
Absolutely. Yeah, I wish we had our first woman president in the US already. We almost did twice, but didn't quite work out. But we'll see. We will try again. Now I'm gonna get into the last segment where I kind of try to get into your mindset and some of the leadership principles that have helped you achieve the success that you have so far on your journey. One question I want to ask is, what do you believe is one of the greatest lessons you have ever learned, whether in life, in leadership, or just in general?
The greatest lesson that I've learned, um, I would say, definitely a couple of them, but I'm trying to pick which one is the greatest lesson I've
Okay, you
learned.
can you can share too.
Yeah. Okay. So first and foremost, greatest lesson that I've learned in life is just, really like when I was first in Canada, when I first moved to Canada, the biggest lesson I learned was network,
Mm,
build your network. And then the second lesson that I learned, I mean, maybe even this is more first, is just be yourself, which is what my parents instilled in me about knowing your values.
yes.
And so being authentic, being yourself was really, really important, for based on my values, right? Don't change who I am. So
Hmm.
in conferences, I'll wear my Indian outfit or I'll bring my African jewelry,
Yes.
right? So just be be who you are. And then the other lesson that I learned is about building your personal brand. It's so important. If
Mm,
I look at individuals, for example, um, what what could you do? Like spend the time, invest in yourself. So
powerful. Wow. Now, looking over your career, why do you think you've been so successful?
yeah, the reason I've been so successful, I would say, and again, the definition of success is different in everyone's mind. I think
Sure.
for me, it's about the impact that I'm most proud of that I've been able to create. To me, that is what defines success.
Hmm.
Versus, success can be like, in sales, it's so easy to measure success in sales. It's you hit your target, you or exceed your target, and
Yes.
it's black and white, right? But for me, I measure success based on the impact I've been able to make, even if it's just that one person. Like giving you an example,
Hmm.
I do these talks on negotiations, and again, back home in Africa, negotiation is in our blood. We're always
Yes.
negotiating, right? Every on the streets, we're negotiating. We've got a huge
Yes.
Huge
Yeah,
problem.
you remind me of my wife. She's always like, no, just go to the counter and pay whatever price they ask. I'm like, no, there's always room to negotiate. That's
Exactly.
just a suggestion.
And and that's why I did this workshop. I do this talks on how to negotiate, because I was severely underpaid when I first moved to Canada. And oddly enough, negotiation was in my blood, but I didn't know how to negotiate in the workplace. I knew how to negotiate when it's buying grocery,
Yes.
not in the workplace. And I learned along the way how to go about negotiating better pay, because as you talked and mentioned this earlier, is women aren't paid well. So it's two parts. One is the industry needs to do something about it. Organizations need to do something about it. But let's look at the other side, is also we need to do something about it. We need to start making those asks too, as women, is ask for the right pay and do it appropriately. So there's a great impact whereby a lot of people don't think about negotiations during a layoff. And so I brought that up, and there was this woman who had just got a layoff, and she called me, and she was in tears. She was worried because she was the main income generator in her family, and she's like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, okay, stop the crying first. Did you sign any contract? And she goes, no, I have to do it. I'm going to do it later tonight. I'm like, stop, right? And I reminded her of, hey, watch my video, because, I don't know what you've got, but think about it. You feel that this is a fair amount. And so she negotiated her layoff package, and
Wow.
she got double. And that eased her, because the amount she was initially given was a lot less. And that's why her worry was, how am I going to support my family? What am I going to do? And
Yes.
for me, that impact. So when we talk about success, to me, that is success.
Wow, that is powerful. That's really another reason why I really love hosting this podcast, because sometimes you just need to get an idea, like, is it possible, right? Because for most people, they've never seen it, they've never heard about it. So to them, whatever offer they get laid off. Okay, I am lucky, I got those crumbs, right? I'm just gonna be okay with it. But now you hear, oh no, you can actually do something about that, right? So it just opens up your mind. Thank you so much for sharing that. We are quickly running out of time. I could be speaking to you for hours and hours. But what are you learning now? I know leaders are learners. What have
Yes.
you been learning these days?
What am I learning? Oh, wow. Big thing for me is definitely just adopting more AI. I'm learning
Yeah.
that. Outside of work is my yoga, bettering my yoga practice,
Good.
and flexibility. So that's basically what I'm doing. And of course, the other big thing, though, that I really want to push hard and push forward for is about how leaders can try out reverse mentorship. So that's another piece that I learned
Yeah.
along my journey, is how can we do more reverse mentorship?
Yes.
And I can give you an example. At another organization, there was one leader who said to me, Aarti, can you mentor me? And I'm like, you've got way more experience than me, right? And so I'm actually practicing, the key thing is go to individuals who, what reverse mentoring is, people who are earlier in their career, and learn from them. In fact,
Yes.
even just another example, our founder, I work, as I mentioned, I work at Centra, and our founder, Asaf, we finished this meeting with a prospect, and we had a debrief. And the first thing he asked me is there any feedback you can give me? And I'm like, you're the founder, you're asking me for feedback.
Yeah.
And that just showed me, like, I was stumped, but that
Yeah.
just showed me, back to, hey, we can all learn from each other. It doesn't really matter what level of experience you've got. And that's, to your point, what am I learning? I'm
Wow.
as many people that I can meet, regardless of the level of experience you have, because there's
Yes.
something or the other that I learn from you.
That is so powerful. Actually, for those who've been watching the show for a while, they know two quick things. Is when I became a commanding officer, dream job in the Navy. But one problem I had is about a third of my sailors were all Gen Zs, and they are not cut the same way as Gen Xs or millennials. So I was having a lot of challenges with them until I got my daughters, who are Gen Zs, to mentor me how to treat them, how to motivate them, and get them going. And that was just godsend. And another thing, I had a very big problem I couldn't solve by myself with my senior leadership team, with all of my department head for almost 60 days. And then I opened it up to the entire unit, the command, and a junior enlisted person gave us the answer in less than 5 minutes. And we were able to implement that, and it worked just like magic. And it's like, we would have never come up with that solution if I didn't, I wasn't humble enough to actually get feedback from the most junior people in my own command. So what you're saying is definitely true. Okay, powerful. We're running so much out of time. Can you give me an extra 5 minutes, maybe? If
Yes.
not, okay. Thank you. If you could choose 3 people to have dinner with, right? There could be a live, dead, or even fictitious character. Who would you choose and why?
Oh, that's a good question. I would choose.
Oh, by the way, like we said in the green room, don't say that's a good question anymore. You are taking half of my time every time you say that.
Sorry. Okay, 3 people.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I would choose Nelson Mandela.
Yeah. You don't have to say why for that one. Next.
Yes, we all know. I would choose.
Madiba. That is right.
Yeah, Mahatma Gandhi.
Yeah.
And I would choose Mother Teresa.
Fantastic. All right. So I know this is a book that you co-wrote. I believe you wrote chapter 13. Can you tell us why we should purchase this book? Why we should read it?
Yes, I would highly recommend. There's different versions: Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3. Many
Volume 2 is the most important one.
Volume 2 is where I am, and yes, there's several of us. You've got it there, but several of us you'll see in this book. We've shared our stories. I'm in chapter 13. Highly recommend getting this book because we are actually sharing tips. We're sharing our journey. We're sharing valuable lessons we've learned. Yes. One of the things I wish in earlier my career that I had this book because it would have helped me find my voice. It would have given me tips that, I would have picked up on from other women. So it's just amazing. Even while writing this book, I actually opened up a lot more.
That is really, really powerful. Can you tell us about the documentary Women in Security?
Yes. So first and foremost, this was 5 years in the making. And it took us so long. And it's many times I was like, if it wasn't just women, I would have been able to do this faster. Getting sponsorship, getting funding, getting this executed. Yeah. So the producer, his name is Richard Tico. And he came up with this initial thought process and put it out on LinkedIn. And I straight away jumped on it because it aligned with my value. So the documentary is sharing voices of 21 women across the globe. And we're sharing our journey. We're sharing our purpose. We're sharing some of the things that have helped us along the way. There's some powerful stories, amazing stories from so many of the women who are in this documentary. I'm in it as well, too.
That's right.
And it's just amazing because, this is the first ever documentary. We're also premiering it at several different cities. And literally just yesterday, we announced that it will be on Prime by the end of the month. But first, if there is one playing at a city near you, as you'll see on the website here, there's one playing at a city near you, please attend it. RSA, we have 2 screenings on the 24th and the 25th. Yes. If any of you are attending RSA, please come join us and celebrate the women as we're celebrating International Women's History Month. So come watch this.
Man, that is really powerful. Yeah, right there, San Francisco premiere. That's going to be next week. So make sure to get your ticket and let's support this. This is
it's free. Yeah, it's free. It's open for everybody. Bring your kids too, because the power of this is, bring your kids because they might want to join this industry. Give them a different lens through a movie. So there's going to be popcorn. There's so many of our sponsors. Centra is a major sponsor here, of course. I'm so proud to work here because the biggest thing is bringing this here to RSA, and I'm just so proud that we have 2 screenings for the users, and it's free. So popcorn, a little,
that's amazing, amazing. Is there anything you cannot do? Wow, incredible. Okay, thank you for giving me an extra 5 minutes. I wanted to ask just this few questions before we end. One is, if you had one and only one day to live, what would you have liked your final contribution to be?
The final contribution, if I only had one day to live, it's back to my values. Going back to what I said earlier on is just
Yeah.
give to the community, build a community, be that change maker, right?
Mm.
And lift each other up. That's what I would say is just let's if the last few hours of your life, what do you want to do, right? Leave
Yes.
on a high with a positive, right? And make that impact.
Mm. Powerful. So, if you had a magic wand, you could solve any problem in the world. What is the one problem you would like to solve first thing tomorrow
First,
morning?
first thing that we get more women in cybersecurity.
Yes. Yes, yes. Now, there's been some improvement for sure because I know when I joined cybersecurity, I started this full time, 2005. There were hardly any women everywhere, and I was almost always the one and only black person in the room. But now I definitely see more people of color and more women for sure.
Definitely,
But not enough. We need to do more work for sure. Thank
for
you
sure. Yeah,
for
and
sharing.
peace would be the big one, right? There's so much
Yes.
happening out there in the world. So
Yeah. Now, if you could have the ear of every young woman who wanted to get into the cybersecurity field right now across America and Canada, what would you tell them to do first thing tomorrow morning?
invest in yourself. That's the
Mm,
first thing I would say. Invest in yourself because a lot of times you keep putting excuses that time is an issue, like building your network, like building your brand. Time
mm.
is your biggest enemy. So dedicate time every day or every week
Wow,
in yourself because you know what? If you invest in yourself, you're going to see the returns.
powerful. Okay. All right. We are getting to the end of the show. All good things need to come to an end. So, what can we do to add value back to you, Ali?
Oh, thank you for asking this question. Really appreciate it. First and foremost, follow me on LinkedIn. You'll
Yes.
see that on the screen. Come watch the documentary.
Mhm.
Buy the book, right? Make sure you buy this book. And what else would I say? I would say lift each other up. Let's change what
Yes.
every day is. It's tough out there, and just by lifting somebody up today, make that commitment every day. Lift somebody up.
Mm,
You never know what they're going through, so let's change that environment.
powerful. Okay, one of the most actually, before I ask this question, is there anything else I should have asked you I didn't get a chance to ask?
No, I mean, thank you. This has
All
been
right,
so beautiful. Really grateful for giving me this opportunity to share my
absolutely.
story and my voice.
So let me ask you this, about how old were you when you came to Canada?
I was 26.
Okay, okay. I was about 17 when I came to the US. So if you could go back and give a piece of advice to your 26-year-old self standing at the edge of this incredible career you've had, what would you say to 26-year-old Ari?
Build your brand,
Build
right?
your brand. Okay,
That's what I would say.
you
Build
are
time to build
consistent.
your brand.
Powerful. Okay, if it's okay, just it's gonna take only a couple of minutes. Let's do the lightning round, and we're gonna end this. So,
Okay.
give me a very short answer and quick. First thing that comes to your head. All right. What is one word that defines great leadership? One word.
Authentic.
Okay. What is your morning routine or practice that keeps you grounded?
Um,
Yoga.
Yoga and my dog. My dog keeps me
Okay.
grounded.
All right. A book or a quote that changed your life.
I would say the quote from Winston Churchill: "Never, never, never give up."
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
changed my
Okay.
life.
Who inspire you most days?
Most days, I love listening to podcasts. I like Mel Gibson. I like Dr. Michael Gervais.
Mhm.
Different podcasts. I love listening
Yes.
to those podcasts that inspire me
Fantastic.
every day.
Very good. What is a leadership habit you refuse to compromise on?
My value.
Hmm. And what is a question every leader should ask themselves frequently?
Why? Every
Hmm.
leader should ask themselves why. Why
Okay.
are they doing this? What is their purpose?
Yes. And what did you want to be when you were a kid?
When I was a kid, I wanted to be a stockbroker. I was not
Really?
thinking of cybersecurity or sales.
Okay. 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 Yeah, I don't think anything close. Okay. What are three adjectives describing you as a child?
As a child, naughty
Hmm.
initially.
Okay.
Um,
Two more.
Naughty. I was family first. friendly, and authentic. Authentic stay with me throughout.
What about as an adult?
As an adult, I would say authentic.
Mm-hmm.
I would also say as a changemaker, inspire.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And influence, because I like to influence change.
Absolutely. All right. I like to finish on a positive note. So, what is something you are feeling optimistic about these days?
I'm optimistic about just life in general, like health. Good health. We're past the pandemic,
Yes.
and just grateful for every day.
All right. The very last question. One word that represents our shared experience on this podcast today.
Fun.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Fun. I loved it.
Yeah, I almost always says grateful, and I'm grateful that you are here. But yeah, this was fun. So thank you so much, Aarti Gadhia, for taking the time out of your very, very busy schedule. Pretty soon, I won't even be able to reach out to you. You're going to be so high up there and so famous and wealthy and all of that. But you are doing a great work, and I'm really, really grateful for what you are doing, because you are impacting lives all around the world just by your example. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, asante sana, shukriya. Merci beaucoup. Arigato gozaimasu. Thank you.
Merci. Bye.
Bye.
All right, everybody. This is one for the book, and I hope you really got a lot from this. I think I'm going to have to listen to this podcast again. Okay, so this is it for today. I'm going to be back tomorrow, and I'm talking to another cybersecurity expert. Tomorrow, we're going to be speaking to Staff Sergeant Jo Peterson, U.S. Air Force veteran. She's a trusted cloud cybersecurity advisor, a trailblazing leader, and industry influencer. We're going to be talking from intelligence community to the cloud, which is what she used to do when she was in the Air Force leadership journey. So I hope you can join us tomorrow. And then I believe it's going to be on Sunday. I'm going to return back to the series we started on the book of Proverbs. This is not religious at all. It's just about ancient wisdom and leadership lesson from an ancient book about 2,000 years old, but how it is still relevant today, talking about the leadership principle. Okay, that is all we have now. And like you saw from the two previous podcasts today, we are continuing Black History Month. We call it Black History Year. So until the end of 2026, every day, we're going to celebrate Black History. And today, we are celebrating the Golden 13. These are the first Black officers in the U.S. Navy. Actually, today, March the 17th, 1943, is when they all earned their commission. And without these people here, there is no Commander Zenga. And we want to celebrate them. Okay, this is it. This is the end of the podcast. And I hope to see you tomorrow when we speak to Jo Peterson. Thank you so much for watching, and bye for now.
Thank you for tuning in to the Leadership and Success Podcast with your host, Coach BZ. If today's episode added value to your leadership journey, be sure to subscribe, share, and join us again for more wisdom nuggets on how to lead better and achieve greater success. Remember, leadership is the most critical skill of our time. The world will always need leaders to inspire others, drive innovation, and execute meaningful strategy. So why not count yourself among the bold leaders shaping the 21st century? Until next time, stay inspired, stay committed, and keep leading with excellence.